Welcome to the Shergroup podcast, where we share ideas on how to help businesses grow and prosper in the online world. Join host, Chief Shergroupie, Claire Sambrook, as she discusses her digital journey and how Shergroup is helping thousands to keep their business flowing and growing. Here on the Shergroupie podcast.
So, hello everyone, and welcome to this edition of Shergroup on the Sofa. I hope wherever you are in the world, you're in a good place and you've had some sunshine today. And it's nearly Friday, which is always a good day of the week for me. So, I'm delighted today to introduce my guest and friend, Marilou Stones. And she lives here in Florida, in Orlando with me. And we're going to be talking about her journey as a wonderful job, an interior designer. So we're going to be talking to Marilou. But before we get into the conversation, I just want to give a shout out to our number one fan, Shergroup's number one fan, Mr. Ross Saunders. Hey, Ross. I hope you're having a good day today. I think Marilou wants to say hey to you.
Yes. Hello, Ross. I hope you have a fabulous day.
There you go.
Greetings from Orlando.
Yeah, he's been here. He knows what it's like, so it's good. So I'm so excited to do this interview with you today. And I know that you have had a terrific journey in design and interiors. So how did you get started, Marilou, as an interior designer?
So actually, that came from my mom. I am the middle child of 6. And but I'm the oldest of the last 3. So I tell people I don't know whether I'm coming or going because I have the middle child tendencies, but I'm also the oldest.
Yeah.
So she is a designer, has been a designer from the get-go. And of the 6 kids, 3 of us do design. And so I kind of made that list in high school of what do you want to be, what you don't want to be, and design kept coming up. And so I went to design school and came back. And my mom had a design firm in Orlando, actually in Longwood, Florida. And so I worked for her for 2 years. And in that 2 years, we moved to Winter Park, Florida. And she actually then retired. And I took one of the girls that was working for her. And we became a partnership for 10 years. And then we dissolved that. And then I've been on my own really since 97.
Okay.
So that's how that all kind of started. I grew up with it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's amazing that you had such a strong design gene in your family, your mother and then some of your siblings. Yes, I can see that. So I think that's wonderful that you were able to kind of build on that and create, you know, what you've created today in your own interior design agency. How marvelous is that? So I know that you're a seasoned designer. I know there's, you know, you've worked on my house. There's nothing that phases you at all in terms of what you're faced with. It certainly wasn't when you came to do my house. What kind of projects do you work on? What do you enjoy working on, actually?
I actually love all of it. I have broken my teeth on new construction. So that's kind of how I started with builders. And I was the person that picked everything out. So I did that for a lot of years. And then we had the crash hit and pandemic and all sorts of things happened to our economy. And I ended up doing remodeling. And so I do some of the remodeling with builders, and I do some of the remodeling as me being the contractor that's in control and schedules everything. What I like to do, that's a hard question. People ask me what my style is sometimes too. And it's really the joy I get is the end, where the wow of the client at the end and they're kind of speechless because it's so awesome. Yeah. And that's really what drives me, is taking what they have in their head and their mind and their little pictures that they've created and giving it back to them in reality.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see the joy in that, and I've seen your face when
Yes.
when you see that wow factor sweeps over the client. It must be a lovely feeling and make you want to do the next project, I'm sure. Um,
Yes.
so in terms of then, building this business, what kind of qualifications did you get, as you came up through building the business? I mean, is it,
Correct.
yeah, did you get them from design school, or where did you get your qualifications?
So I mean, you can be a decorator without any type of licensing.
Yeah,
But I went to an accredited school. I got my degree in Bachelor of Fine Arts. I had a history of a career, and then I am licensed by the state of Florida, kind of a Florida Building Association, to where I have to pass a test. And so
yeah,
back in the day when I passed it, it was two parts. It was a written part and a drawing part. Now it's like 8 parts. Um, and so you have to pass that test and have a certain amount of hours at a design at a place of business for design.
yeah, yeah.
And then you have to continue our continuing eds like we do in BNI. We have a certain amount that we have to keep up every 2 years, is a 2 year cycle. And
Okay.
so with that, it allows me to work commercial. It just gives me more um, authenticity and credibility, that I know what I'm doing because I have that behind me. I'm not just, I pick colors and, it's kind of a hobby and it's what I like to do.
Yes. I mean, that's a bit of a misconception, is it, that people may think that interior designers, it's a hobby.
Right.
But I mean, a degree in fine art, is it a bachelor's degree in fine art you
Mm-hmm.
said you had?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that takes some work. And then, of
Mm-hmm.
course, all the continuing education and the licensing by the state. So you're clearly a very not only accomplished but seriously qualified interior designer, which I think, again, for some of the houses that are going up in Orlando, and I know you've worked on them, and then some of the commercial build stuff, they're going to need somebody like you with that kind of backdrop of qualifications to be able to take you onto their project. So,
Yes, yes. I mean, and
yeah,
I talked on the phone yesterday to a referral from a client, and he works from home. She's a flight attendant, and he said, we're just really looking for someone who is seasoned and educated and really has been at this, that knows, right?
yeah, yeah.
And I have certainly had that.
You do. But it's lovely to hear you talk about your qualifications, because again, I think there's just, it's just so easy to go up. It just,
Right.
and it's not. It's a great thing to hear. So you have this fabulous backdrop of being a designer and doing design work, and of course I hear about that every week from your presentations in BNI. Marilou and I met through BNI, and every week I get to hear about what she's doing, um, and that's one part of your marketing plan. I know you have terrific trades in our chapter that support you, and no doubt elsewhere, that support the implementation of your design. So kudos to them. How do you see you marketing your business? How does that work for you as a designer?
Um, so as you know, I've kind of come kicking and screaming into this century that we're in,
Really?
as far as social media and website and all of that entails. And so I have that thanks to you. However, I am a relationship kind of girl. I
Yeah,
I wear my heart on the sleeve. It's really, design is a very personal entity most of the time. I mean, commercial, it gets a little off from that, but it's very personal, and so it's not always about price. It's really, when I interview for something, I'm like, you know what, you don't know me from Adam, but you need to go with who you think is going to hear you and listen to you.
yeah,
And so really mine is word of mouth. It's word of
Yeah.
mouth, it's warm referrals, it's past clients, it's being out in the community. I try and really go to a lot of the little networking things and just be so that when they need me, because I'm still a bit of an auxiliary discretionary money kind of thing, because people think they can do everything themselves. And so I'm not so when they need me, then I want to be top of mind that, oh yeah, I have a designer.
Yes.
And that's just really, yes, it's getting out into the social channels, which isn't me at all, but it is really the relationship, which is why I'm part of BNI, why I go to the events, and why I'm out in Horizons West, and why I'm doing those things, because I want that face to the name, and I'll kind of plug myself here. I don't know, but I just won there's a local magazine
Yeah.
that is in Winter Garden, and I just won best designer in the magazine. So
Yeah.
again, that's just being in the community and having people recognize who I am and what I do. So
Yeah, that's hugely important, especially as Winter Garden is going up the charts in Orlando as a beautiful area, which, people listening to this in and around Florida will know about it. But for my Brit community, who will also be watching this and come to vacation in Florida and probably have vacation homes that they need to
love vacation
spruce
homes,
up.
and I've done so many of the British community because
Yeah,
they don't know anybody, and
no,
that's
exactly.
if you said my favorite type of thing, that would be to get a hold of a house or build a house and then do it as a vacation home, because I do it soup to nuts, and they
Yeah.
walk in with their clothes.
Yeah. How good is that? So that's
Awesome.
fantastic. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think the winning the accolade in Winter Garden is outstanding. So well done on that.
Thank you.
So so you've got this community. I know you've got a community of clients now getting closer and working with you. I know a bit more deeply about your business, and you've obviously got a huge community of clients and stakeholders. Other trades that you work with, and it's great to see that. So, what are a few questions you ask a new client when you start a project?
Really kind of pick their brain as far as what do, lots of questions of depending on the space that you're doing. If it's a kitchen, how do you cook? Do two people cook or only one? Do you entertain? I mean, so if you entertain, everybody kind of ends up in the kitchen. So how does that traffic pattern work? How
Yeah,
many seats do you need to sit? If you're a chef cook, sometimes that's a different type of storage and appliances um,
yeah,
than other people. If it's family room, do you entertain? Do you play cards? Do you have groups that come over? How many do you need to seat? How many's in your family? Just really to get the nuts and bolts of that, and then from that is okay. How do you and I take it too from, okay, here's your neighborhood, so that's an area, and then what your exterior of your house looks like, because I'm one of, let's not do a old world exterior and then walk into ultra modern, right? There
yeah,
has to
yeah,
be a little bit of connection there. But they will envision, right? Are you using furniture that you have from marriages and grandparents and parents? And so what are we using, and what are we getting new of, and what does that how does that intermingle, right?
yeah,
Because most people, unless it's a vacation home, most people don't start from scratch. They have
yeah.
something they want to use, and so how do we incorporate that so it doesn't look like an odd duck, and that incorporates into that so that you're comfortable with it?
Yeah, I think
So
I
it's
had a
it's
neighbor.
a give and
Yeah,
take of questions of that. And most people say, well, what do you think, and what do you like? And I will certainly give that opinion, but I'm really careful of, this is your house, and I can tell you what the next trendy style is, but you need to be comfortable with if the trend is still white and gray, but you really don't like that and you are a warm colored palette person, then I encourage you to stay that way and not just jump out.
Yeah, I get that. I think the thing that you had to accommodate for me was an 85-inch TV, which my husband went out and bought. So if any of you are wives or are halves, your husband bought a large TV and then didn't really think about where it was going to go.
Well, but I come across that. I cannot tell you how many times, because it's all about the TVs. Yeah. And when we moved into we're renovating our house, but when we moved in, before the furniture came in, my husband had 3 TVs installed. So we didn't have anything in here, but we had the TVs up on the wall.
Yeah, it's not just me. I knew it wasn't just me.
It's not. It's not.
But also, you're a great diplomat when it comes to listening to the differing views of different people in the house. I'll put it no higher than that. That's very diplomatic of me.
Well, I tell people I become a marriage counselor, but I give that as a freebie. Because, I try and it's very stressful, especially if you're building from scratch. That's very, very stressful because there's so many things to consider. And so I tell people that, I don't necessarily pick sides, but if I will give you a pro and con of what this will give you versus what this will give you. So I take the emotion out of, well, you got this, so it's my turn, I get this, versus, okay, let's look at it logically. And maybe the husband is right and she needs to give, or vice versa, that I give you a reason behind it. And then they decide what they want to do.
Yeah. Very diplomatic. So budget wise, I mean, again, just so people get a feel for when is it worth them calling you in to work on their project? Is there a sort of a minimum that you'll, start, picking up a pen and start designing, or, what is that thing? What is that kind of spectrum of price?
Yeah. So for me, I think it's just important for someone to have good design that doesn't have a lot of money versus someone who doesn't really care. And not all design firms are created equally. So because I am a single entity, even though I'm an LLC, if you just need to pay me by the hour and give advice, or to do some things by the hour, I am more than happy to do that. If you tell me that you want to remodel your kitchen and you have $10,000 to spend, then I will come back and say, that's probably not enough money, right? I just had a client that said she wanted to redo her kitchen completely and her master bath completely, and she didn't give me enough money. And I said, well, you'll have to pick one or the other because I can't do it with both. And she said, yeah, or I could come up with more money. That would be great. So sometimes I can, depending on, so let me back up a minute, because I always ask if they have a budget. Yeah. And 9 times out of 10, they'll go, oh, I don't know. You tell me. And they have a number in mind. Yeah. And so it's helpful for the designer, because you just say, okay, if you have this number that you don't want to go over, I can tell you if it's enough, or we can pull it out, or we can do it in phases, or whatever the case may be. Or, you know what, with the things that you want to do, we need to do something else in place of it. Sure.
So I think what I take away from that is that if you've got, I don't know, a vacation home, or if you've got a new office that you want to, kit out, or you just want to do a remodel, probably best to reach out to you, and they can find you on your website and all your socials, and just have a conversation with you, right? Yes. Just to get a feel.
That's all free.
Yeah, that's all free. So don't be, some people I think might be a little intimidated by reaching out to you, because you might say, oh, no, it's not worth it. But you're not that sort of person. And I think it's worth having a conversation with Marilou, if you feel you need help, and you just don't know where to start, she'll soon tell you, right? I think
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
So, so let's say that somebody reaches out to you and they say, okay, I've got, a new construction, which is a lot of new construction in Orlando. My goodness, there's just new construction everywhere. I worry it maybe some of the design choices that people are making, because it's just overwhelming, I think, when you're faced with a brand new house and nothing in it. What is the design process that you go through for somebody needing to put a house together like that? Plain walls, plain floor.
Yeah. So if it's new construction, so there's a difference between a production home builder, who basically has a design center and you pick everything out at one time in their center, or you have a custom builder and you then have the ability with an allowance to go to different places to pick out product. So if it's a custom build, then I get the allowances that the builder has in order to price that with the client. They'll give me an allowance, and that's where we start with, right? There's no point in me showing you something that is way above. So we really start with kind of your main thing. So if you're doing, so for kitchen, if you're doing cabinets, I need to know appliances. So I need to know what appliances and sizes of those things and how many you want them so that the cabinets can be drawn appropriately. And then cabinet color and floors kind of follow each other. So those kind of get picked out kind of at the same time. And so it's just a process. When you think about I could probably list 24 items to be picked out in a kitchen, but they don't have to be picked out at one time. So we kind of start with our big things, so plumbing and appliances, and then cabinets, and then we pick color and flooring. And then from there, we think about counters and backsplash, wall color. Again, once you pick one thing that you really, really like, then the other decisions really follow it more easily than you think. Same with the bathroom, same with, new floors. We take it in bite-sized pieces because really people can only handle about 2 hours at a time. Because then they get overwhelmed and it's too much information. So when I sometimes I'll get hired for a production home client. And so they will hire me to go with them to their design center appointment. And then I go in there and help them make those decisions. Because typically, I don't want to knock production home design centers, but typically they'll say, okay, you have this rack to choose from for your allowances. Let me know what you want. And I go in there and go, okay, what do we have to pick from? And then I start putting things together so that they can see things together. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, that works. So just makes it a little easier to help somebody actually put it together than you pick it out and I'll write it down.
Sure. Yes, it's that for those outside of, I don't know if it's the same across the United States, but for those of you in Britain, buying a new construction house is very different to buying one in Britain, because in Britain you tend to get given the kitchen with the house. You don't get a choice. And then, so this whole idea of a design studio is a little unfamiliar. But I've done that design studio piece just recently, and there's a lot to choose from. Okay. Now that's new construction. I have to say though, it is wonderful buying a new house, and what a lovely job for you to be picking all the bits out. Not jealous of your job at all. What about a remodel? Because now let me just get this straight. In Britain, because we have older housing stock, I suppose, and it may be the same in other states in the US, but renovation and remodeling is something that Brits do without really thinking about it. It enables them to buy a bigger house and just, build it out. But here it's still, I don't know, remodels. Do you say remodel and renovation go together, or are you thinking of different things?
So there are degrees of renovation. So if
Yeah.
I'm just remodeling something, it could mean renovation. It could
Yeah.
be synonymous, but sometimes remodeling is, taking out plumbing fixtures and putting a different
Okay.
style, different color. I'm
Yeah.
retiling something, but I'm not necessarily taking this bathroom here and moving it over here.
Okay.
Right. That would
Okay.
be more of a renovation because I've cut concrete, I have to move walls, I have to
Yeah.
do that
Gotcha.
kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
depending on what you're calling remodeling, it could be extensive, or it could just be remove and replace is what we would call it. You're not changing the footprint really, you're just making an update.
Okay. So if you're doing a remodel, what's your process for that? How do you take your
It's really the same thing. When someone says, this same client that called, I'm going to make an appointment to go and they're going to redo their master bath. It was a referral from a builder.
yeah.
But I will go in there and I need to see it. I kind of need to measure it, talk about what they want to do. What's not working for you? Why do you want to remodel? Because what's not working, so that when we redo it, that we make it work better.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes it's, I need it to be a walk-in shower, not a step, because I'm going to have issues, or I'm getting older, I want to move for the future.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of things of, okay, what isn't working for you? And it may just be it's old and I
Yeah.
just need to update it, or I need it to be bigger. I need a longer counter with more storage. I need some towers. I need.
Yeah.
So again, it's questions and going to see the space and then listening to what they want and seeing if I can accomplish that in the space that they have, right? If you're not going to knock any walls out, then I only have a limited amount of space to change it, or to give them what they
Yeah.
want.
Yeah. So, in terms of, I mean, what you will tackle in a house, from what I've seen and what I've experienced myself, my family, I mean, the whole house from the exterior all the way through the inside, the bathroom, the family room, the kitchen, the laundry room, bedrooms, master bath, deck, the whole deck, you'll tackle that, won't you? And you
Yes.
just have an army of trades that you've cultivated over many years.
Yes. And I
Yeah.
really can do all of that. The only thing that when I say going in, is I have a great landscaper, but don't ask me about any plants. I don't have a green thumb. I don't do plants, but I have someone who is the best at it.
Yes.
But other than that, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, if somebody wants to pull a whole kind of renovation project together, um, then you've got all of the trades at
Yes.
your fingertips, and you kind of, project manage it through from
Hmm.
start to finish. And I've seen these trades work with you, and they just follow your, just, okay, we need
Well,
this and this and this. Yeah.
because I've done it. I mean, I'm at this 37 years, and
Yeah.
so I have developed a loyalty and a lot of, when you see online, they're like, oh, this contractor didn't show up, they didn't call me back, this and that. And so my forte is, my guys are going to show up. They're going to
Yeah.
show up on time. They're going to be dressed appropriately. They're going to treat you correctly. And so that's all part of, can you do it on your own and find Tom, Dick, and Harry to do what you want to do? Yes. But I run a tight ship. I make sure it's right. Now, again, things happen, people don't show up, but as a rule, it's a much more efficient process if you
Yes.
can have someone like me take care of that.
Yeah, and I think that is your overarching USP, that you take control of the entire project and you're answerable for the project. Which
Yes.
again, a lot of people don't want to have that account. They don't want the responsibility, but I know that you do, and you just you've got the experience to be able to walk it. So great job. And we're, if anyone wants a reference for what Marilou's capability is, then honestly, I can give you that. So I'm very happy to be a testimonial for you and your business, because you've done a great job in our house, which, let's face it, needed a major renovation. But we took that on knowing that. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, for those of you who've been listening, we've been building Marilou's profile on LinkedIn because she's gone from having, a small community on LinkedIn to now a busy community on LinkedIn. So for you realtors out there and those of you in the construction world, builders, and everyone involved in the property management industry, this is a lady that can really move mountains for you in terms of your next project. She has a website at Stones Design LLC.com. She's on Facebook, Insta, and LinkedIn. So Marilou, thank you so much for the interview today. And everyone else, check out her website and get on her mailing list so that you can hear what else she's doing. So thank you so much, Marilou. For everyone else, this was a lovely edition of Shergroup on the Sofa. Our website is at shergroup.com. And like Marilou, we're on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. And we also have a YouTube channel, so you can find us on there with lots of interesting interviews with people I meet in their journey. I'm interested in business people and how they've built their business, particularly with people like Marilou, who've had a whole, family backdrop to their business and have been able to take that forward over, a number of years. So well done for that. So thank you very much, Marilou. I look forward to working with you again on our next project. And we'll see you soon. Thanks very much. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Shergroupie podcast. To join our Shergroupie community, subscribe by going to our website at www.shergroup.com. Keep up with the latest Shergroup news across all our main channels, including YouTube, LinkedIn, and across all social media. Stay connected and begin building more business relationships.